Perfect. Thanks, Manoj. And hey, folks, Keenan here, PM for the Data Catalog and Prep Services. So as you've kind of seen the format here, going to jump into recent delivery highlights around both of these services. On the catalog side, we do have that natural language question infrastructure where literally you can just ask a natural language question of a product and we'll provision some answers. We just recently released a new pack around our tags, so you can apply tags across pretty much every object in the object model, and then you have natural language questioning around those tags. Business glossary, it's an object inside of the catalog service. We also brought all of our collaboration suite of features to that object. So things like conversations, tagging, endorsement framework, really the ability for enterprises to crowdsource metadata around that particular object. Introduce a new statistic. This is a pretty exciting one, actually. It's a grouping statistic around string values inside of source systems. And really what it does is it starts highlighting where we think there's overlap in terms or literally in strings inside of fields. And typically what that feature is going to do is highlight data quality problems inside a source system. So pretty interesting statistics that came through there. On the adapter front, a couple new adapters, ADLS Gen 2, so Azure's file system, their next generation of that file system. We support both as a source and a destination on the prep side of the product. Brought in some new extensions to our Salesforce adapter where you can specify some nice advanced parameters like which API version spec you'd like to import and things of that nature. Then just a quick user experience thing, enabled dark mode inside of the product. Obviously, we'd love to get some feedback from folks if they're taking a look at that, but an additional user experience inside of the product. Now going to quickly jump into the catalog roadmap. So some of the things that we're working on right now are, again, always kind of doing things around our search and NLP infrastructure. Want to make sure we're always augmenting that experience and providing more capability there. Oh, bear with me here, folks. Sorry, it looks like the slide popped one forward there. But on our search experience, so as you type in search strings or type in essentially NLP questions, we'll be augmenting our results experience, just essentially bringing more metadata back into the results screen so folks can really have a nice next step essentially or next action based on those search results. We will be bringing a new package in here in the next release around our data types. So as we're actually discovering source systems, we're applying classifiers to those attributes, things like, hey, whether this attribute is sensitive or in nature or not, and you'll be able to ask natural language questions on those data types. Business glossary, this is one we've been working on for a bit around our authorization framework and continuing to extend that, bringing some more role-based access control authorizations around that particular object, so making it more secure in the application. Additional statistics coming, some geo-based visualizations that we'll bring into the product. So as we're detecting things like latitude or longitude or zip code or state, things of that nature, we'll actually apply a visualization that'll show prevalence of values around those particular data types. And that ultimately will lead to some automation on the prep side of the product as well. As we're identifying these things, we can enable certain transformations and make them available as well. Tag management, tags are a pretty heavily used feature inside of the product. You can really apply them to any object for organization, as well as like if you're working on a particular project, you might assign tags to the artifacts of that project. And we want to basically bubble up and make it much easier for users of the product to understand where tags are getting applied, how they're getting applied, and really bubble up some insight around tag application. So some of the things coming a little bit later down in the roadmap, NLP, again, we are extending that infrastructure, looking at things not only essentially within inside of our product, but actually bringing that infrastructure to APIs outside of the catalog and prep service. So some exciting work going on there. And again, we'll bring some additional question packs that are going to be more platform related, meaning both catalog and prep in the future as well. Looking at doing some integration on the master data hub side, actually bringing a connector into the DCP world around catalog of master data hub. So being able to actually introspect those models and bring some of that metadata management capability that we offer in the catalog service around those MDH models. Data set metadata. So again, bringing some additional automation capability in the prep side of our product as well as in the catalog. we will be bringing some features around suggesting metadata for either new cataloged objects or objects that have been brought back into the catalog from our prep service. So some nice ability and automation there to move metadata, things like data dictionaries, things like tags, maybe applying of classifications to other data sets inside the catalog. And then stats type guessing. So again, we'll be leveraging our stats infrastructure to really harden that classification work that we do, really ensuring that, hey, our confidence interval or the probability that this field is actually of that data type. As we get full statistics, we'll only be able to, give more accurate recommendations around that. So let's move into the prep service here. So some things we're working on right now. I think you've even heard some folks, including Madhav, mention some of the work we've been doing around Snowflake, continuing that investment even further with us actually being able to do some push down execution, meaning, hey, not only will we be able to process heterogeneous data from a data prep perspective, but if all the data resides in Snowflake, actually just pushing a SQL statement into that environment from a transformation standpoint. So some nice capability there that's going to optimize performance. Cloud ecosystem support. Again, we leverage Spark as our runtime on the prep side, so support of AWS's latest variant, as well as Microsoft Azure's latest variant of HD Insight. Some things that are coming up next, our ability to support merge operations. So if we're managing some downstream dimension in a data warehouse and managing that end-to-end pipeline, want to make sure that we can handle things like update and insert operations, maybe handling of slowly changing dimensions in a much more easy way through our 7-step experience. So making some investments there. Towards the latter part of this year, early next, that managed iPaaS model that I talked about in the last few quarterly webinars will be coming to life. So definitely exciting, more of a SaaS-like experience essentially in deploying these services. Coming towards into early next year, the mid of next year, making again that additional streaming investment, so the ability to actually bring both streaming and batch together in one pipeline, and really starting off with some just initial use cases around being able to bring some data in, assign a window of data that you want to process, lightweight transformation, and then ultimately spilling that down somewhere to some destination for analytics. So again, another exciting one there. As we do that streaming investment, definitely need to bring some additional operationalization capabilities to both our workflow and scheduling infrastructure. So some additional extensions and capability there to be able to manage these pipelines in a much more proactive manner. Then some of the later investments we're making, export, import. Today, there are some export and import capabilities inside of the product. We're going to be extending that functionality to both our workflows and schedules so that it just makes it much easier from an administration standpoint to move assets across, let's say, a dev, test, or production environment. So continuing to enhance that across our object model. And then we'll be making some further user experience investments, supporting more complex ETL pipelines, experiences around shaping functions, just making it a little bit easier to handle some of those more complex tasks that tend to arise from an ETL perspective. So that is it from me on the catalog and prep side of things. At this point, I am going to turn it over to Shail on the intelligence service.